to the Super Speedway.
Welcome to episode 223 of the Super Speedway podcast, recorded Tuesday, February 15th, 2022. I'm your host, Eric Young, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, James Cush. Almost said 2021, but it is 2022, James, and guess what? It is the 2022 NASCAR season. There were cars on the track today for an official points-paying weekend.
Woo! We're here. we were just joking before we started. I'm like, you ready for the next 37 out of 38 weeks? Here we go.
I am,
It's
man.
on.
You know what? I tell you what. I don't know what it was about this off season, but I've not been itching for the start of a season more than this in a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like, you'd think last year would make sense because, you know, with COVID and stuff, there was so much stuff shut down. But this year, like, I've been busy. I've got all kinds of stuff going on, but I'm ready for some racing.
Yep. Oh yeah, me too, man. It's the Clash was a nice little taste test, and then we had the Super Bowl, and now we're going back home. Daytona. Let's go. Pockers is down there. Marty McGee are down there. The season is on, man. We got all of our writers are down there. Like you said, cars on the track.
Todd's down there.
Oh yeah, bragging about it already.
Right.
Good. I'm glad we took a shot at Todd right off the bat.
Of course,
this evening. So
yeah, that's gonna be a more common theme this year than normal. I think
so. Well, he's leaning into it now, so yeah. That's good.
He's big time. So
yeah, he is. That's all good.
Well, let's talk a little bit of news. We will do our annual season preview coming up here shortly, and then we will preview the Daytona 500 weekend. But first, talk some news. There is a new drivers' council, James, and Jeff Burton's the mayor. Jeff's the director of the advisory council. We remember we had this a while back, and it kind of fell by the wayside, and now it's back. I mean, good, bad? Do you care?
I like the mix that they've got. I think it's important that the drivers have a say in everything that's going on here. There's so much changing. And then with the new car and how it's driving, I really feel like the driver's input is going to be more important now than it has been in quite some time. So to have a nice mix of drivers, you've got Denny Hamlin on the ownership side a little bit there too. And then, you got Kyle Petty, you got guys that run up front, you got guys that run in the mid of the pack. So
guys that barely ran in the pack and don't race anymore.
Yep. I think with the next gen car, this is important, man. This is good stuff. I mean, it seems to be open communication. NASCAR is not going to poo-poo it. So no, I don't see any negative sides to this.
I don't care. Who cares what the drivers think? Let's just No, I'm just kidding. No, it's fine. It's good. You mentioned we got the board of directors: Kurt Busch, Austin Dillon, Denny Hamlin, Corey LaJoie, Joey Logano, Kyle Petty, and Daniel Suarez. As we mentioned, Jeff Burton's the director of the group. I mean, like you said, it's the nice thing is these guys are going to be better off having a group that they can go to that can rally on their behalf rather than 38 voices trying to make a difference. You've got this group that can do it as one. And so it's a good thing. I mean, it's in the end of the day, it's still NASCAR's playground. NASCAR will make the decisions they want to make. But I think, as we talked, we gave a lot of credit to Ben Kennedy last week. Steve O'Donnell, I think those guys really have, I think they've demonstrated over the past, 8 months or so, maybe a year, that they really are taking what the drivers say into consideration, but not just doing everything the drivers want them to do. I think we really, during the last generation car and the 550 aero package or horsepower package, I think we kind of strayed away from caring anything what the drivers thought. And I think, we saw the direction that took. Some of the fans, I guess the fans that don't know what they're watching were pretty happy with that package, but I would say the majority wasn't. No matter what NASCAR's fan council says. So I'm good with it.
Well, and I think too, Eric, we saw over the off-season testing, going back to why this is important timing for something like this, the drivers were very vocal about the horsepower package and made a very big change as to what NASCAR's direction was going to be on that. And I think we're going to see a lot of that with the way this car performs over the next few months, I think is going to be very critical. And to have open communication with the drivers on what the drivers may need or what the drivers may see, because honestly, they have the best perspective on these cars, and they're always angling for a little bit of performance too.
Right.
But with open communication, you can make judgment calls, or have open dialogue. I think that's going to be important moving forward.
Last year's debate or concerns over the safety aspect of the new car, I think, really showed why something like this is important, because
Yes.
people weren't getting the information they needed to get. And
That's right.
if we would have had this then, they would have been able to, hopefully. So it's all about communication. Hopefully it'll work out better in both directions. And I mean, I don't see any, like you said, I don't see any flaws with it. I like to make fun of it, but I don't see any flaws. It's better than Union.
My only tweet was what you said earlier. Jeff Burton not naming himself the mayor of this was a disappointment to me.
Right.
That was what my tweet was. So I stand by it. He should be the mayor.
Yeah, but I mean,
okay.
Who better to lead? Who better to have a level-headed voice than Jeff Burton? I mean,
well, and yeah, I mean, he's got driver experience, but also he is on the entertainment side of the sport more than anybody else in this booth. Well, I mean, Kyle Petty too, I guess. But Jeff Burton is an analyst, and he's the voice of the TV networks too. So I mean, that could come into play as well with what we're doing here moving forward. These TV networks have a lot of power. We just saw The Clash. That was a TV network deal.
Yep.
And we saw Bristol Dirt last year. That's a TV network type of deal.
TV network.
So yeah, I mean, you've got some sway coming from that side of things too. And that's why I love the mix that we've got going on.
And you've got the All-Star race too, which I guarantee you is a TV network race. Whatever network signs on
next year,
that's going to be a big factor in where that All-Star race or what that All-Star race becomes. So
absolutely,
which is why we have an All-Star race in both halves of the season. Really, I mean that is a large part of why that currently exists now, is because each network gets one. So all right, let's see. The Busch Light campaign's pretty neat here, James. The Accelerate Her program for female drivers over 21 years of age. Busch Light, or Anheuser-Busch, has committed to spending $10 million over the next 3 years. The objective of the program is to provide more funding, track time, media exposure, and training for women in NASCAR. And again, I'll just say that, I mean, there's nothing. How could you find something bad about this? I mean, maybe Natalie Decker.
This. Well, I made it my Jennifer Jo Cobb joke, but I can't tell you how much I love this.
Yeah,
this is awesome. But at the same time, I'm going to wag a finger.
Oh no.
Why didn't this happen earlier, and why is it a corporate sponsor bringing it to the table is what I would like to know. Honestly, I never thought of anything like this.
No.
But it's not,
I mean, NASCAR's got their Drive for Diversity program, but it's not this.
$10 million for sponsorship and track time and development. That's a pretty big investment. It doesn't seem like a lot when you spread out over 3 years, but when you look at women in the sport, you can divide that pie pretty equally between drivers in different series and trying to make the ranks. I mean, a few $1,000s to somebody working their way up through the local late models, things like that. I mean, that's gonna be a huge boom for them and give them an advantage to, honestly, Eric, level the playing field a little bit, if you think of it that way. Give them a little bit of a leg up, which I have no problem with that. I think it's fantastic.
Well, there's been a lot of talk on Sirius over the last few days since this was announced, of female drivers. We've had some in NASCAR and try to make their way through NASCAR, and they tend to all seem to reach the same fate, or most of them do. And a lot of it just is that there's so much pressure for these women to advance as quick as possible that they don't get the time to learn what they need to get there. I mean, Aaron Crocker is a great example. I've made my jokes about Aaron Crocker, or Aaron Evernham and Ray Evernham. But Aaron was really pushed into the sport faster than she should be. She had talent, but just was driven up the sport too quickly, and it ended up being her demise. I mean, we can say what we want to say about Danica Patrick, but Danica would have done a lot better to run a few more seasons in the Xfinity Series before she moved up to Cup.
Didn't have the time.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt Danica Patrick can drive a race car, but you don't
Right.
just jump in. Nobody jumps in a Cup car and competes
Yep.
in their first couple of years. I mean, she ran 1 year in the Xfinity Series. What do you expect?
Yeah, and barely ran ARCA and
Right. So,
um
I mean, this something like this will have. I mean, it's
well
a 3 year program. I'm sure we'll see probably an extension of this, whether it's through Anheuser Busch or somebody else steps up to the table to continue it. This gives the opportunity for these ladies to get the experience they need and work their way up with the help of funding.
yes.
They'll have the resources that they need, and now they can actually put the time and effort into getting the experience they need, and hopefully
Yep.
we can see competitive women in our
I
sport.
I hope that this is just the tip of the iceberg on
Yeah.
this idea. I would love to see more funding coming in for something like this. And not just for women. I think this is a great idea for minority drivers
Yep.
as well. I know Drive for Diversity does great things, and we've seen some great, drivers come through the ranks. Bubba Wallace, Kyle Larson, probably the top of the food chain there. But this buys, like you said, Eric, this buys time
Mm-hmm.
where time is not of the essence for these drivers. Think about Haley Deegan right now.
Yeah.
You think that maybe Haley Deegan has stalled out in the truck series, but this gives her time to learn, time to get all that seat time she needs, more experience. And by the time she turns 21, hopefully she's ready to make the step into the Xfinity series
Right.
or be very, very close to it. And she doesn't have to, if this truck thing is a little bit stalled out at this current moment, it buys her more time, because we know sponsors like her,
Right.
and she has future growth, but she doesn't have to rush up the ranks like Danica did.
Mm-hmm.
And you think about like a Shauna Robinson and what it took to just to get on the track, or Patty Moise, women like that who they had to break through in such a big way, but were flash in the pans for the most part because they just didn't have any staying power. And I hope that programs like this give us some more staying power, for our women drivers and our minority drivers.
The other thing that I'll say too is that Anheuser Busch is no stranger to being able to promote itself and be visible, and that's something that NASCAR's Drive for Diversity. We're all aware of it, but it's in the background. It's not something you see. It's not in your face. And Anheuser Busch isn't going to put $10 million into this and not have it in your face. You're going to know that it's going on. You're going to know about this program, and that's great. I think we need to know that. I think we need to see it. So. Awesome deal. When I saw this announcement, I was so excited about it.
Yeah,
It's
me
a
too.
very cool deal, and just another example of one of those positive things going on in our sport. And it's Anheuser Busch once again stepping up and putting money into NASCAR, which is awesome.
And motorsports. I was reading about how Steve Phelps is monitoring the growth of motorsports popularity in the United States, and this is just another way for Anheuser Busch to kind of push that agenda just a little bit more on where motorsports is heading in this country. NASCAR still owns the largest market share, for motorsports in this country. I mean, F1's really making some gains, but if motorsports, like Steve Phelps was saying, F1's popularity will bleed over into some NASCAR popularity as well. So as long as motorsports is trending in the right direction, NASCAR needs to find ways to hop on that train. And when you have good corporate partners like Anheuser-Busch, who are willing to put a 3-year investment into multiple drivers, multiple talent, that just gives everybody a little bit more of a boost. And that's why I'm kind of hoping that we see more. I hate to keep asking more of Anheuser-Busch Camping World,
Right.
but these are like out of the box ideas that are really, really cool.
Yeah.
So something new thinking. I mean, this isn't just slapping your logo on a car. This is a full blown investment, in some driver development.
Yeah, totally agree. James, why don't you take the next one since you added to the list here?
Yeah, so I was just checking out some Stern on Twitter, and basically he had written a story, and I found another couple articles on this. But yeah, Jeff Gordon was hinting that very soon, maybe even this year, Kyle Larson might be able to run the Indy 500. This year's a stretch, but
Right.
Sooner rather than later. But also that Hendrick Motorsports is eyeing growth outside of NASCAR. Didn't say what series they're eyeing, but you could assume it would be IndyCar, maybe some sports car stuff, that Jeff Gordon's dabbled in the past.
Yeah.
So Hendrick Motorsports eyeing some growth outside of NASCAR. Pretty interesting, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see a sports car team out there, maybe an IMSA team for with Hendrick Motorsports.
Yep.
IndyCar is definitely a really interesting perspective. As a an IndyCar fan myself as well, another team in the series would be great to continue to bolster their field counts, which have improved immensely over the last couple seasons. So that'd be really cool, and obviously that would make it real easy for Larson to step over into an IndyCar if Hendrick owned one.
Yeah.
So yeah,
or even a Chase Elliott, if he ever wanted to give it a try. We've seen him doing dirt racing and things like that.
Yeah,
we've come a long way from where Hendrick wouldn't let these guys step outside of
right.
out of a cup car.
Well, you sign Kyle Larson and see what he does, and then he wins the championship. I think it makes it a little easier to stomach this sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So it could be interesting, the IndyCar series in the next couple of years. You got Kyle Busch still itching to run in the Indy 500 with M&M's leaving. That might open that opportunity up a little bit more for him, and depending on who comes in. So very interesting. So
I'd love to see more of NASCAR and IndyCar. They seem to be friendly now. So I feel like that's positive momentum. And now that we have Jimmy Johnson kind of as an ambassador on that side as well, bridging some of those gaps, I really like to see that. And if we get some manufacturer synergy as well with Hendrick, if Hendrick brings a big Chevy team or something like that over there, that would be great and make it easier to put a Kyle Larson in a Chevy. Jimmy Johnson's driving a Honda right now, so that's I think Hendrick would like to maybe have his drivers in Chevrolets. So
yeah, very cool deal. Speaking of NASCAR in the upswing, James, the Daytona 500 is sold out.
Love it. Yep.
If you want to go to the 500, you're going to have to grab something from a scalper or something, because the infield's sold out. The grandstands are sold out. I haven't checked the site, but I'm assuming you can probably still sneak in there somehow if you really wanted to get in. And the other races throughout the week are available. The tickets are still available, but the Daytona 500 is sold out. Good deal. I mean, again, it's just NASCAR's. I think we've got good momentum coming into the start of the season. We had the Clash that did well. I know you and I both agree that it wasn't necessarily as big outside of NASCAR as that some people would like to believe, but it still gave us momentum going into the start of the season.
Well, Eric, I actually have I have a new story to add to that.
Okay.
Post podcast. As you are probably similar to me, people know you like NASCAR,
right?
They see stuff, or you catch them in conversation or whatever. And this guy I work with walked up to me the other day in the office, and he goes, "Man, that Busch Clash, that was pretty entertaining." And I go, "You watched?" He goes, "Yeah, I saw the advertisements." And he's like, "I thought I would check that out." And they goes, "I didn't watch the whole thing, but they got my attention for about half the race, and I really enjoyed it." And and he said I was on to the next thing. So that was my first whoa, okay, people outside of the sport actually were tuning in and checking this thing out, and I got kind of a first person take on that. So I thought that was really cool.
That's definitely a cool deal.
So you're talking momentum, and a sold out Daytona 500. I think that the Clash may have something to do with that.
Well, and we've had plenty of criticism from Fox on this podcast over the years too, and Fox did a good job of promoting it during the Super Bowl as well. So keeping that momentum going in between the 2 weeks, probably certainly helped that the race at the Coliseum was in the same town as the Super Bowl, made that a little bit easier to make that connection too.
Yep.
But good deal to see that momentum coming in, and getting ready to bring us hopefully a good Daytona 500. It's going to be an interesting one for sure. So
yep, it is. Yep, absolutely. Next gen car and all that's going into it. I mean, there's a lot of hype, so we got to put on a good show.
Yep, good to have eyes on the sport. That's what you need.
Fingers crossed we don't have any potholes or rain or
right,
whatever the hell. Well, let's just have a great Florida day.
I just want everybody to remember that you are the first one to mention the R word. So
I mean, Todd's there, so it's already.
I know, right?
It's already in the ether.
Well, the rumor is the weather looks really good all weekend, but
good.
We know it's Daytona and it's Florida, so you never know.
You never know.
But it seems like temperatures are going to be pretty good for racing too. So the crowd's gonna have some good comfortable temperatures to watch this year's 500 in. So
thank God.
Maybe not the drivers in the next gen cars that are really warm, but the fans will be good.
Yep, absolutely.
Speaking of the Daytona 500, the Biff is back. sort of. He's going to try and make the Daytona 500 with New York Racing. From the sounds of things, the car they're running this weekend is their Clash car. It's their 500 car. It's their next week car. So if they wreck it, that's it. But yeah, the Biff's going to race again.
Yeah, great.
I had to add it in the news because it's the Biff. Everybody talks about Greg.
Well, I think we messaged about this, Eric, 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
The Biff was sniffing around RCR, and all of a sudden, people were saying, "Hey, the Biff, what's he up to?" Well, here you go.
Yep.
The Biff's gonna give it a try. He's got the itch, man.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't put it past him to make the show. That's gonna be tough.
Well, I'll tell you what. There's gonna be 2 races going on during the duels on Thursday. There's going to be the race of the guys trying to get out of the way and not wreck their cars. And there's going to be the race of these guys that are trying to get in, because I think this is probably the first time you're going to see both. I would be highly not surprised one bit if we see both pole sitters pull off in this thing.
I would. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, they've got to get some data and learn, but
Yeah.
I feel like,
I don't know. Do you? How many races did Jimmy Johnson win on restrictor plate tracks without getting any data? I know it's the new car, but I don't know, man.
I know it.
The thing is you sit here, you massage these things, you make sure they're perfect, and then you go and wreck them and still win races with them because everybody destroys their cars. I don't know.
Hendrick Motorsports wins the pole every year, right? So,
well, I don't know. The Fords are looking strong, though.
It's different. Yeah, the Fords are looking great.
Of course, they're all running in a group, too.
Let's use Hendrick as our example. So, Kyle Larson wins the pole. Let's just, again, whatever. Kyle Larson, do you pull off, or do you tell the whole contingent, hey guys, let's just gather together and see what we can do in the draft and just ride in the back together, and just try a few things while we're out there and keep the cars, in a safer space. Let's run some laps, get some laps on these cars, see what they do. And then, just stay out of trouble for the most part, back it way down. I think we're going to see some strategy here because of the parts and supply shortage.
We're going to see very different duels than we've seen in a long time this weekend.
Yeah. Yep.
It's going to look different. And then when the 500 comes, it's going to be the 500, especially
I'm totally fine with it.
Especially when there's 20 laps to go on the Daytona 500, it's going to be the Daytona 500 you used to.
And the fans can't be angry about this,
no,
because this is what the teams are kind of stuck with. There is a shortage on these cars, man. So they have to protect themselves.
And I don't think it's anybody's fault. It's the situation that we're dealing with right now across the country and across the world with shortages. We already pushed this car back a year. I don't really fault NASCAR for going all in on it this year. I think you're making a mistake if you don't go all in. And it's going to be the first 4 or 5 weeks are going to be a little tight, especially with the West Coast swing. But we'll get there, like you said. They're only allowed to have 7 cars per team anyway.
Yeah.
So it won't take long to build that inventory up. And from the sounds of things, these things are probably easier to fix because they're all modular, so you can take parts off and take broken parts off and put new parts on. It kind of reminds me of the Indy cars when they run the 2-day shows and they run the same car the second day that they wrecked the first day because they pull the parts off of them and put everything new onto the tub. So. We're talking here. We don't know a hell of a lot about what exactly they're going to entail. We'll figure it out as the season goes along. But these guys, these teams, your Hendricks, your Roush, Yates, Keselowski, those guys, they're gonna come through here with a car. They're gonna race in the 500, and you're not gonna. If we weren't talking about it, you wouldn't notice it. There's gonna be some teams that are on the lower end of the spectrum that don't have those cars, that you're gonna notice a little bit of a difference with, I think, but. In the end, this is going to equalize everybody, I think, and it'll all work itself out.
When the green flag drops on the Daytona 500, there's no business decisions being made.
No, it's still the Daytona 500.
Yep, and Brad Keselowski, he could taste it last year.
Yeah.
In that 2 car, he's got his own team now.
Yeah.
He ain't holding back.
How cool would it be to see him win the 500 in his own car?
Oh, it'd be sweet. It'd be sweet.
With that, James, it's time for our favorite part of the season where we both demonstrate to everybody just how terrible we are at this. It is time for our annual season preview. Pretty similar to last year. I think they're all the same questions as last year.
Yeah, they're good questions.
Yeah,
there's no reason
they work. We changed them up last year because there were a couple that didn't quite work from the year before, but for the most part, pretty good, pretty similar. So we're going to go back and forth as to who leads the discussion on each of these. Our first prediction of the season, James. One big gamble. What is one big gamble? Could be anything this season that you're going to go with. You get to go first.
One big gamble.
Yeah.
So
and
I'm
James
making...
is winging this because he didn't prepare it in advance. I prepared in advance for this, so I put some thought into mine.
I usually wing it. No. My big gamble is that. You know what? My big gamble. Tyler Reddick makes the Final Four.
Wow.
That's the Final Four.
That's a big gamble. That's bigger than mine, I think.
I'm going big with my big gamble. I could have said something like, what? Chase Briscoe makes the playoffs, right? But this is a big gamble, Eric. And dude,
it's a big gamble, but I don't think it's that big either.
Tyler Reddick, contract year, you know.
Well, not only that, but an equalized year.
These cars, these cars. And I think that dude is his talent. Well, hold on.
Easy.
He's 85% of a Kyle Larson.
Okay.
How's that?
I'll give you that.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
Is that fair enough?
I mean, I don't know. We've seen him in a bunch of other cars like we've seen Larson, but in a cup car, yes.
Yes, that dude can wheel.
Mm-hmm.
So
he could wheel a car last year that was definitely significantly slower than the rest of the field.
So I'm locking it in.
I like that. Okay. Here's my big gamble, James. Denny Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick will not make the Final Four.
Woo!
This year.
So you had Hamlin,
Harvick, and Kyle Busch.
And KFB.
Yep. None of those three. All three will miss the Final Four.
Wow.
And I think that is a result of the new car. I think a lot of it is. I mean, Harvick, I think Harvick is Harvick. I don't know. I don't see the resurgence coming from Harvick. I think Hamlin's had his fun, and Kyle's just Kyle. I mean, I don't know.
Well, listen, Denny Hamlin's made what, 3 in a row?
Yeah,
3 Final Fours
I know.
in a
It's
row?
pretty stupid move.
Well, no, I'm going with you on this though, because how many times can you have the fortune to make it that many times?
Yeah,
exactly. He's eventually gonna miss it. So.
Exactly.
I like that. Nice.
There you go.
All right, Eric, you get to go first on the next one.
Yes.
Team to watch.
2022. I put some thought into this one, and I went back and forth, and I decided to go with what you went with on the first one, James. I think RCR is the team to watch because I think RCR was doing things last year with underfunded not underfunded cars, but not as good of cars as the rest of the field. And with an equal car this year, I think they're going to be right out there with everybody else. They're going to be a team to watch. And like you said, Tyler Reddick, I think, is the leader of this team. I think he's going to come out and prove himself and make it really difficult on RCR to re-sign him at the end of the
year. Yeah, he's going to be expensive.
Yep.
Yeah, he's going to be expensive. He's talented. I mean, he was going to win the Clash. There's no doubt about it.
Oh yeah,
and that was a freak show.
You can't take a whole lot from that, but I don't know. I'm pulling a little bit from that race in my predictions today. So
yep. So I had teams to watch. I had 2 on my list, and I feel like that they're in the same group. But I'm gonna pick one.
You can. I mean, because I've got a couple later on where I'm kind of dipping into a couple. So
I think one's gonna outperform the other, and you may be surprised between the 2 who I take here. Colleague Racing isn't messing around, and I'm gonna put them down as my team to watch because I'm not so sure about Justin Haley doing a whole lot this year, but that superstar car, whatever we want to call it, with AJ Allmendinger. That team is going to steal some races just like they did last year, and they are going to be putting themselves on the map for whatever 2023 is going to look like. So I like Colleague Racing, and I'm going to write it in right now.
I think as much as I've been critical of Justin Haley over the years, I don't think you can sleep on Justin Haley.
He's solid. No, he's solid.
I think he's solid. And again, the parity that these cars are going to bring, if they bring what we think they're going to bring. I just don't think they're messing around, Derek. I really think Colleague is now. Let me ask you, who's the team that you think I was comparing them to when I was trying to decide which GMS? I wanted to pick? Petty GMS.
I was thinking GMS, but then no, not GMS. I was going to say Trackhouse.
Okay.
Now Trackhouse is in their 2nd year, but they're expanding. Ross Chastain on board, Daniel Suarez, both 2 full-time teams that are probably fringe playoff contenders. I would say they're going to be right there. I just think Colleague's got a better chance to win races. It may not be with Justin Haley right off the bat, but I like Colleague, and I like that they're going to have Allmendinger on these road courses. They're going to bring the party. I like Matt Colleague. He's just a kind of a different different cat. I guess Pitbull is too, right? So,
Right.
but I really, really am gonna keep an eye on them, because they could, if they do this right. This was such a perfect time to enter the sport.
Yeah.
If they do this right, they could become maybe a fringe power team, down the road here. So, looking forward to seeing what they can do.
My alternate choice, the one that I was going to go with, was 2311 because
Yeah,
James, tell me a team that Kurt Busch has been on since he had his issues at Penske that he hasn't made better.
he's won every year in whatever he's racing in.
And he's made every team better.
Yep.
And I think he'll do the same thing with 2311. So he's
Yep,
he's gonna make Bubba Wallace a better driver.
Yep, he's won everywhere he's gone except for his one year kind of influx,
Yeah.
with Furniture Row. He didn't get a win there, and Phoenix Racing, that strange trip he took.
Yep.
But he's won with he's won with Stuart Haas.
Yep.
And he won a whole heck of a lot with Chip Ganassi, even one win a year, but doesn't matter. He was racking them in, so
Yep.
Pretty cool
And competitive all the
I like
time.
it. Yep, absolutely.
Pick two drivers that made the playoffs last year that don't make it in 2021. I didn't find this very challenging, by the way, James, because I think there's a few. But pick two.
Pick two drivers who are out.
Pick two drivers who do not make it next year that made it this year.
Boy, it's easy pickings to go off the bottom, right?
Yeah,
That's the hard part. I'm gonna say Michael McDowell.
Okay.
Because I just don't know. I mean, he's gone his whole career and he's got the one win. That's gonna be tough. So McDowell's out, and I will. Boy, I hate to go chalk here. Eric Almirola is out.
Yeah.
I know it's his last season, I know it's going chalk. But yeah, McDowell and Almirola.
You can just cut and paste yours in because that's mine too. Exact same.
Watch both of them make it.
Yeah, right. I
hate to say it.
I think there's others in there that are going to fall out too, but I went with those two. I think those are the two easy outs.
Anybody on the fringe for you?
I'd have to go back and look at who was.
I've got a guy. I'm gonna say a name, and you're gonna probably don't take a drink because you're gonna spit at me. I don't know what to make of Alex Bowman.
Yeah,
I know he's won 4 races. I just won 4 races last year. In one season, he won 4 races. I'm just not sure about that guy still. Like, I have questions about him, but he knows how to win races when he's given the opportunity. So it's hard to take anything away from him.
he'll be
I
there.
still am just not 100% sure.
He's gonna make it.
Yeah,
he'll be in it. Yeah, I'm trying to.
I mean, what am I gonna do? Kick out Kurt Busch? No. William Byron? No.
Yeah,
Kyle Busch? No.
I'm on the fence about Kurt.
I've got one more for you.
Christopher Bell. I'm on the fence about.
Brad Keselowski.
Yeah, that would be a big gamble too. But
if Austin Cindric wins some races on the road courses in that
true.
2-car, that's going to knock some people out right there.
That's true. That's a good point.
Yep.
Two new playoff drivers.
You get to go first this time.
I get to go first on this one. So I am going to go with. I'm going to stick with my momentum with RCR, and I'm going to go Austin Dillon makes the playoffs this year, and I'm going to go Bubba Wallace.
Dillon and Bubba. All right, I like those. For me, I like that GMS and Petty are coming together.
Yeah, I know.
And I think Eric Jones has a chance.
I was tempted to go with
I can't
Jones.
quit him. I'm going to put Eric Jones in.
I was tempted to go with Jones, but Jones got to show me something.
I can't quit Eric Jones.
I know.
Even though he's still driving that.
He's got to show me something though, James. He was in a JGR car and didn't do it when it wasn't even.
So I'll give you a nugget on him. He was statistically the best passer at the Coliseum.
Yeah.
So
who cares?
I mean,
so Martinsville.
I'm just saying.
Big whoop.
I'm just saying. I'm throwing it out there. Eric Jones is super talented, man. I'm not going to quit him.
I'll give you a big gamble. Ty Dillon finishes above him in the points.
No, God. My second driver, I'll put Austin Cindric.
Yeah, I didn't think about Cindric. Cindric's a really good choice because you're right. He's gonna win
a road course race.
Yeah.
And now, not picking Chase Briscoe, I think might be a mistake. I'm only picking 2 here.
Right.
But Chase Briscoe is gonna threaten to win some road courses too.
How great is it that
won Indianapolis?
How great is it that we've increased the field to 16 drivers to make the playoffs, and we still
tight.
go, man, these guys should be able to make it, but there's not enough spots for them all.
I know, man. I know. Right? You
NASCAR.
telling me Ross Chastain can't make
Yeah,
can't make
Chastain's
it?
definitely one that could make it.
Chase Briscoe we know can win. Daniel Suarez,
Yeah.
Cole Custer has one.
Yeah, Chris Buescher could easily sneak one in there.
Yep.
Ricky Stenhouse is always a possibility.
Guys are going to be disappointed. That year Joey Logano didn't make it. That happens.
Yep.
It happens. Some guys are not going to make it.
Yep.
So I'd be worried about a few of them. So.
Who will be the first driver to win their first race this season, James?
This is such a strange year. I'm really having a hard time with any sort of predictions on this thing. Well, if he's going to make the Final Four, he's got to win a race, right?
Yep.
Off the bat. So Tyler Reddick will be my first driver to win. He's going to win like Auto Club or something.
Yeah. Cut and paste him for mine. That was my choice as well.
Yeah. I was looking at where the road courses fall. So we don't hit a road course until, boy.
That's interesting. We had 2 to start the season last year because we had the Clash and we had Daytona.
Yeah. Coda is week 7.
Yeah.
So your road course ringers, that's a spot there. And Homestead has moved, as you noted too, Eric, back into the playoffs.
Yep.
One of the last races before the cutoffs. So, if Tyler Reddick could win Auto Club, yeah, but Kyle Larson's going to be really good. So Coda could be one of your road course guys.
Yep.
So yeah, Chase Briscoe maybe as a possibility.
You also have Worldwide Technology Raceway, which is very much like a road course.
Yep.
So you could expect the road course guys to run well there.
Yep.
So yeah, very interesting.
Yep. And with this new car, it's going to be, maybe some of the guys who've had success before may not have as much success before. Just Chase Elliott is good of a road course driver this year as he's been in the past. It's going to change. Right. Everything changes with the next gen car.
Yeah. What will be the best race? I'm going to cheat on this one, James, and I'm going to just base mine off of last season. I'm going to say the Daytona Cutoff has got to be
yes,
the best race of the season this year.
Yep. I can't wait till we get to the Daytona Cutoff and we check on this and see where we're at.
I know, man. That race lived up to the hype last year, and there was not any race that was even close to it, I don't think.
Nope, I don't think so either. Boy, this is tough. This is tough. We've got some good ones.
I really wanted to go with Atlanta because
I just don't know yet.
I have high hopes for Atlanta.
Yeah. Because
I think the idea of a super speedway on a 1.5-mile track is very enticing if it actually races that way.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to race that way. I think we're going to be disappointed with Atlanta.
Yep. I'm going to say, boy, best race. This is always difficult.
I know. That's how I feel like Daytona's just right there asking to be picked.
You know what? Bristol Night Race.
Okay. That's a good choice. Not the dirt race, James, because they're both night races this year,
No, I'm going to be hungry for real Bristol by that point. And boy, was I excited. I yelled at my TV more during the last year's Bristol Night Race than I did all season.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I was all fired up.
What will be the worst race, James?
I have to go first for the bad stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think how you did that. Put James on the spot. In the worst race. Bad stuff.
I'll give you a hint on mine. I can't decide between 2.
Worst race.
Didn't you pick the dirt race last year, I think.
I did. It wasn't.
No,
it wasn't great, but it wasn't.
No, it wasn't wonderful, but it wasn't a disaster.
This is kicking while people are down, but I'm gonna say Pocono.
Oh. See, that's where I would have gone, but Pocono was good last year. Both races at Pocono were good last year.
I know, but new car and it's long, and I just don't know.
Yeah,
so
maybe this new car though will make Pocono run better. Flat turns could work.
I'm not gonna say Michigan. I won't say it.
No, it's not.
You won't get me to say it.
No, James, I'm gonna go. Can I pick 2? Or I gotta pick between? Okay, so I'm between.
Go ahead.
No, I'm between Dover and Texas, and I'm gonna go Texas. Texas is just a disaster. Yeah. I mean, it's just a bad
Texas
track.
regular or Texas All-Star?
It doesn't. Well, I'm not counting the All-Star because it's not a regular race.
All Texas.
Texas. Yeah, both Texas races will suck.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think we both kicked the dog on that one.
Yeah. That being said, the truck race will be all right at Texas, but the Cup race will be terrible.
Yep.
Final Four. Man, I got to do Final Four first. All right.
Yeah, you put yourself on the spot.
Here,
I got to pick the champion first.
Here are my final four, James, and I'm going pretty traditional with this. I am not picking the new guys, so I'm going to go Kyle Larson.
You can't pick Hamlin or Busch.
Right. I'm going to pick Kyle Larson. Chase Elliott.
Chase.
I almost pulled Chase out, but I'm going to leave Chase in there.
Chase is in.
Joey Logano.
Joey.
I think Joey Logano has a resurgence this year.
He already has a win on the season.
He already got a win on the season. Not to mention, Joey Logano has proven himself in being good at the unknowns, and this whole season is an unknown.
Yep.
And Martin Truex Jr. Just got a gut feeling on Martin Truex Jr.
MTJ.
Yep.
Martin Truex Jr.
That's my final four, which will be probably completely wrong.
I love it. Well, we're gonna have some differences here.
And for the record, I did not take into consideration what races are leading up to the final four. I just picked the four guys that I think are going to be the competitive. So I'm probably way wrong. But MTJ, Martinsville, I mean, that's a good.
Yep.
Anyway.
So I'm gonna go with my gamble, lock in Reddick right now.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say Larson. He's too good. Larson's the best driver
Larson's
in the series.
Be there. Although I will say, James, I did say the season of Larson is done. And he did not win the World of Outlaws race to open the season.
Yeah,
he finished second, but he didn't win it.
Well, he was driving like a bat out of hell at the Clash too. So
yeah, he was.
I don't know. This might be a Jeff Gordon type of run where it's like the season of Larson's going to last 5 seasons. I don't know. All right, so I got Larson in, and I can't quit him, Eric. I can't. William Byron.
Okay.
William Byron is in my final four. And I got
to go with he's not made a Final Four, right?
He's not. No.
Okay, but you can't quit him. Okay, gotcha.
I can't quit Bill. Gotcha. I want to be early on how great he's going to be, and he's got to break through. So William Byron's.
I think you're better off putting Alex Bowman in there.
I don't think so.
I think so. You're not putting Byron in over Chase, are you?
Yeah, I am. Yep.
Wow.
I'll put William Byron in.
Wow.
Eric, do you remember how good of a stretch he had last year during the summertime?
Yeah,
that was just like scratching the surface of this guy. He's gonna break through, man. He's gonna be great.
I don't know. I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think he's a great driver, but man, that's a gamble. Okay.
Yep.
Who's your fourth?
And then I think this guy's gonna like this package, this car, and I'm going with YRB.
Okay.
YRB makes it. This is going to be a young driver series this year. Reddick, Larson, Byron, Blaney, my final four.
That's funny. We are complete opposites, other than Larson.
Gotta have Larson.
I mean, I guess I got Chase in there. He's younger, but he's getting into veteran territory. I mean, he's still young, but you
picked all champions. I went with.
I did pick all champions. I didn't even mean that.
I went with one. So you're going to add a second title to somebody's resume.
I went veterans.
You did. I went young. I'm gonna regret not picking Kyle Busch or something stupid like that, but that's fine.
Well, I said Kyle Busch won't even make the play. Or no, I said Final Four. You're right, not playoffs.
Yep.
All right, James. Out of those four, who's your champ?
Our random ass season that we have as it is.
Yep.
Champion.
You giving him back to back?
I want to say William Byron, but I just can't. Kyle Larson back to back.
Okay, that's a gamble.
Show me a weakness, and then I'll waver. But I'm not gonna waver. He doesn't have any weaknesses.
No, you're probably right, and it's probably a good choice. I'm not gonna go that easy. I am going to say once again that the guy who excels when it's the unknown is the guy that gets his second championship, and it's Joey Logano. Neither of us picked Kyle Busch this year, so we both picked him last year, but nobody picked.
Eric, he's won 3 races over 2 years.
Right.
Not going to say he's in decline. I'm not doing that. I'm just Kyle Busch isn't what he was at one point. Now, Kyle Busch can get that back at any dang moment he sees fit, because
he can just flip a switch.
Outside of Kyle Larson, there's nobody I'd want driving my race car than Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch or Kyle Larson. Those are the two best drivers, butts and seats that you can have. But Kyle Busch is still struggling with some things for whatever reason. So maybe the new car is the fix and getting practice time back and all that nonsense, but we'll see.
Practice time will help him. Yeah.
Again, you got to prove it to me.
But neither of us put him in the Final Four. Neither of us picked him for the champion. He'll win the whole thing.
Yep. He'll win the whole thing. He'll win the Daytona 500, and he'll win the whole thing.
Right. All right. With that, James, it is time to preview the Daytona 500 weekend. We have lots of racing. We have so many laps that are going to be running this track in the next 3-4 days. We got qualifying tomorrow as we record this on Tuesday. We have the duels on Thursday. We have the trucks on Friday. We have ARCA and Xfinity with a doubleheader on Saturday, and we have the Cup Series on Sunday. We won't pick ARCA Field, though. We discussed last week that we were going to maybe change up the way we did our picks, but we're going to do them the same way as we did last year. So just a refresher, the way this works is we will pick our drivers for each of the 3 series, our winner for each race. Whatever they get for points is what we get for points. Whoever has the most points at the end of the season wins. That means that we don't have to pick regular season drivers that are competing for points, but if you do and he wins, you don't get any points. So basically we'll be picking drivers that are racing full time. James, you lost last season. I just want to rub that in, remind you. So you get the first pick this weekend.
Now, same rules apply. We cannot pick the same driver 2 weeks in a row.
Cannot pick the same driver 2 weeks in a row. That is the only stipulation.
And the person trailing in points always picks first.
Person trailing in points always picks first. Yes.
All right. Perfect. We have it in. We have it. Lock it in.
Yep. So you'll be picking first every week.
Well, you'll be picking first every week until about
you're right.
Michigan, and then I'll fall apart.
Michigan's a little earlier this year, so maybe it might be a little longer. But
all right. Well, trucks. Tate Fogelman.
Interesting.
He's the survivor.
So
I'm gonna go with Tate Fogelman.
I struggled with trucks because I really, really wanted to pick somebody who's just not somebody you'd expect to win this race.
Yeah.
But it's really difficult because there's not really a great list of who's all competing full-time in the series.
Yeah.
So I wanted to pick Jordan Anderson, but Jordan Anderson I think is running full-time in Xfinity, is he not? Or is he splitting the ride in Xfinity?
I don't know that one, honestly.
I couldn't confirm. So I'm not going to pick Jordan Anderson and risk it. So I'm going to go with an easier choice, and I'm going to say Ben Rhodes is my pick for
Ben Rhodes, number 99.
Yeah.
The defending champ.
Yes. Yes.
All right, so Tate Fogelman, I'm going to get that one used up. And we'll go Ben Rhodes for you, Eric. So that means I'm up again.
You're up again. NASCAR. First of all, that was an Extra Energy 250, by the way. The NASCAR Xfinity Series has beef. It's what's for dinner 300, James.
Oh, man. Good Lord. I'm doing this one purely out of fun. Eric, get the sounder ready.
Okay. I'm ready.
You know who I'm going to pick?
Sheldon Creed.
Yeah.
All right. It's a good
Sheldon Creed in his, I guess, full-time Xfinity debut.
I am going to go with a guy who has a new team this year. Has a team that runs really, really well at this racetrack, and probably will be one of the front runners with his teammates who usually like to work together here. And I'm going to once again go with the defending champ and go Daniel Hemrick as my pick for Daytona.
Okay. Very good. Daniel Hemrick. In a new team, racing for Colleague.
I would have liked to pick somebody outside of, but I don't know. I like Hemrick.
Watch Ty Gibbs win the dang thing.
Right?
But it's Daytona. Yeah. I picked Tate Fogelman because he survived Talladega.
Right.
So
right.
That's basically how I'm doing it when it comes to the trucks. Who's going to survive?
Yeah. Ben Rhodes won this race last year, didn't he?
I believe so, yeah.
I think so.
He's won this race a couple times.
Because he won the first couple last year. He won this one, and he won the road course.
Yeah, he was on a roll. I guess he was on a roll whole year because he won the dang thing. So
there you go. Daytona 500, James. Who's your pick for the Daytona 500 this weekend?
Man, I like to pick the Daytona 500 purely out of fun and joy. This guy has been close a couple times. Probably should have won it a couple years ago. Ryan Blaney.
It's a good one.
YRB. I'm taking the fast forwards. Getting that pick out of the way. Ryan Blaney.
There you go. I am going to go with a past Daytona winner. Has not won a Daytona 500. And is not somebody you expect. And I'm going to go Justin Haley as my pick.
All right. You finally, he's broken you.
He's so good on these super speedways, man.
Remember when
I know,
you were like,
I know. But he's proven me wrong so many times. And
he just beat it into you.
I don't know, man. The way he ran at the Coliseum, I think he's gonna be. I really think you can't sleep on him this year. I really think you can't. I think he's got more talent than what it seemed like he may have had, And I think, again, he's an equal equipment. Not that it matters at Daytona because everybody's pretty equal there anyway. I probably still would pick him at Daytona even if we were in the old car.
That's
So,
great.
There you go.
Good for you, man. I just love that you're just completely broken.
Hey, I'm not afraid to admit when I've been wrong.
Hey, man, it's okay.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
The Coliseum knocked me on my keister, so.
Right? I mean, this is not only do the crew chiefs not have a notebook, we don't have a notebook. Racing Reference provides nothing for this season for the Cup Series. We have no idea what to expect, and we probably won't until we're a good quarter of the way in the season, and then we might have an idea.
Yep.
You know, I mean, last year, we didn't think Larson was going to come on the way he did, and he came on quick. And this whole deal this year is an all new thing. So I think there's going to be a lot of surprises this year. Like I said, I think this weekend we see very different racing leading up to the 500 for the Cup cars at least, but the 500 is the 500, and everybody wants that trophy.
Yep.
And I think they're going to race for it. And man, would I love to see Brad Keselowski get the first race.
Yeah, he's my
in his new
sentimental
car.
pick. Yep,
So.
That's my sentimental pick. I'd love to see it happen.
Yep. James, you got any shout outs this week?
Matthew Stafford.
There you go.
Got one.
It's a good
That's
one.
my shout out.
It's a good one.
Eric.
Detroit
I was so
Rams.
pumped.
Detroit Rams winner.
Yep. Detroit Rams winner. I was so pumped, dude. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I can't. I know this isn't a football podcast, but whew, what a game. It was not the greatest game in the world, but that last drive. I was so proud of my guy.
Well, how about the NFL in general? I mean, they really, as much crap as the NFL's gotten over the years, they really had a playoffs this year. Playoffs
So
and
good.
Super Bowl that just were top notch. Probably maybe the best ever.
Oh, if you could bottle that excitement and give a little drip to some motorsports, I don't even know. I mean, it was the divisional round, incredible. Conference championship games were incredible. And then the Super Bowl, not the greatest Super Bowl in the world, but man, it had the drama. And Stafford needed a touchdown. And my wife was looking at me going, I can't believe. She's like, I just don't think he's going to be able to do it. And I said, listen.
How many
This
years
is
did he
all
do
this
it
guy-
at Detroit?
I'm like, this is all this guy knows how to do.
Yeah.
He knows how to score a touchdown in the fourth quarter because that's all he could ever do in Detroit. Because we were always losing, and he was always getting us a late touchdown.
That
whether we won
final
the game or
drive
not.
was just classic Matt Stafford.
It just looked just like Matt Stafford,
Yeah.
man. He was slinging no-look passes, and
100%.
oh, man. I was just pumped. Now he's just as good, if not better, than Aaron Rodgers. So
Yeah.
there.
Didn't hurt that he got the helpful NFL flags there at the
No,
end.
I told you that was a makeup call.
Yeah, no. That was
For the third quarter.
That was the NFL saying we want LA to win. It's important for our market that LA gets the win. We're gonna give it to them. James, I heard that the NFL was upset because the last 2 years there's been home field advantage
That's
in the
right.
Super Bowl.
Yep.
So the way that they've determined to fix that from here on out is just all future Super Bowls will be held in Detroit. So
Very good. Yeah.
no, don't have to worry about that home field advantage.
No
then.
home field. There will be no home field advantage in Detroit. That is freaking true. That is freaking true.
I don't have a shout out this week. I don't have a Jackass Corner either. Do you got a Jackass Corner, James?
No, I didn't. I had a couple on the tip of my tongue, but there's nothing that really stands out. Nobody's been acting a fool yet. But don't worry, the season is about to get started. So hang in there.
We'll let the season warm up. I'm sure by the time we get through Daytona we'll have a couple options.
Oh, just wait till the truck series, right? Well, the ARCA race will be going on full throttle like they like to go.
Right.
So hang in there. We will have a few. Now
Yeah.
that we're actually getting cars on the track consistently, it's gonna be a tried and true segment for us.
For sure. James, where can people reach out to you on social media if they want to talk to you about the Daytona 500 this week?
Yeah, at James Cush on Twitter, and I should mention that I did share the fantasy league on there.
Yes.
So I shared it on our Facebook page and on my Twitter account. If you've been in the fantasy league for the last couple of years, you will just roll over and be in our league again, so you don't have to sign back up. But if you're a new listener and you want to sign up, just go to Twitter, go to Facebook. The link is there. And then Todd reminded me, yes, there's a new wrinkle. Basically, NASCAR is getting into betting. So we have to pick matchups now this year. As far we have our fantasy picks, but then so for the Daytona 500, you get to pick between Austin Dillon and Bubba Wallace, Chase Elliott and Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano, and Justin Haley and Michael McDowell. So
interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So we don't have to pick the this is going to make it a little more interesting. I kind of like this. So
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to it.
As I said last week, we'll have some sort of prize for the winner at the end of the season. No promise as to what it is. I'll figure it out, but haven't figured it out yet. Might not figure it out till the end of the season. So trust me, it won't be that exciting. So don't get too crazy. You can find me at T Super Speedway on Twitter. You can find the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. You can find the podcast on the web at thesuperspeedway.com. Old episodes of the podcast are there. Show notes, links to articles we discuss, past race coverage, photos, all that stuff can be found right there. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Facebook. Wherever you found us today, we hope you subscribe and continue to listen. It is Daytona 500 week. It is Speed Week-ish, part of Speed Week. I don't know what you want to call it now. But cars are on the track today. Cars are on the track the rest of the weekend, or the rest of the week and the weekend. We'll be back next week to break it all down, congratulate our Daytona 500 winner. Until then, everybody, let's go racing.